Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome on the Culture News. My name is David Savivro, and I have the pleasure today on iHeartRadio to welcome a wonderful, wonderful woman. Her name is Libby Hikind. She is absolutely wonderful. And you don't tell me, what has she done? She is the founder of this very, very important website, which is more than a website. It's a revolution. The name of this website is Grantwatch.com. Grantwatch.com. So I think you understood what this website is about. It's about grants. But you know what? This website helps everybody. It helps nonprofits. It helps individuals. It helps small businesses. And if you are an organization who can offer a grant, so guess what? You can put it on this website. And if you're an individual, a small business, or a nonprofit, I wish I was a nonprofit, but anyway, if you're an individual or a small business, you can apply for thousands, and I mean thousands of nonprofits, of grants to help your nonprofits, you yourself as an individual or your small business. I think I got that right. And it is also searchable with your location, so, and also your sector, which is going to tell us. Enough of me talking. Right now over the phone, the lovely Libby Hikind. Libby, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
It's really
Glad
an
to be
honor.
here.
Congratulations for all the great things that you're doing. And this website is so useful. You have no idea. So, I mean, you have an idea, but you're going to know more. So, first of all, I would love to know what brought you to create this wonderful website.
Well, years ago while I was teaching, I also had a small business where I was writing grants for the New York City local area, and my clients wanted to know what grants were available. And I published a newsletter at that point that I faxed to my clients every week. When I retired from teaching, the technology was there, and I was already a bit of a techie because I had taught business careers and computers. And so I started developing the website. We started as New York City, extended to New York State, went through the tri-state area, and we just constantly kept adding states. And today we are national and international.
So I always like to ask to the founders to describe their what they do. So can you tell me what is Grantwatch.com?
Well, what we do is we aggregate the grants, and from all different sources, we review the grants. We have editors and proofreaders and publishers and grant research associates, and we go through every single grant to make sure it's real, it's live, it's currently available. We do a little bit of a synopsis. We have a special format on GrantWatch that we find grant writers love, and that's how we put up the grants, and we are constantly doing it. We add new grants from Sunday through Thursday every week. And grants, grants come due. The deadline comes, and you need to constantly replace them with new grants to keep the website current and fresh. And that's what we do. We're constantly working.
Yeah, indeed, because I've seen, because in my career, I try to apply for grants, and you would go on websites where the grants were from an organization, and the organization doesn't even exist anymore, and these websites were still putting it out there, and I would have spent hours and hours to apply for something that is not even applicable anymore. So your website is definitely the most up-to-date and easy to, I would say, to search, easy to apply, easy to search what are your different options. You can see you have grants for aging seniors, for arts and culture, for business, for capital funding, for college scholarship, and what we're talking these days a lot about this this virus. I've never seen so many individual small businesses and nonprofits applying for grants since there is a COVID. So that leads to a question. So how grant opportunities changed during this crisis of COVID-19?
Well, what happened was a lot of organizations that were giving grants for their own missions that they perceived was what their foundation wanted to fund, turned over and tried to see how they could help business community and the nonprofits and the individuals. And what we found was we found close to 1,000 grants that we're able to keep up that between 900 and 1,000 on the website. So grants are leaving, grants coming, and we're maintaining that number. What happened for us was my staff wanted to do something. We closed our offices very early in March. End of February, beginning of March, we sent everybody home to work remotely, and did a little bit of extra training to work remotely. And my staff would, they knew people were dying. They knew people were getting sick. They had close friends and relatives, and there's nothing you can really do because you can't go help them. You can't go near them. So they wanted to do something, and this is what we know how to do. And so it became almost a game within the office of how many new COVID grants we can find today. And from the customer service staff to the research staff to administration, everybody was looking. And so we've been able to maintain this 900 to 1,000 grants a week of COVID grants. Early on, what we found was the money was running out very, very quickly. And then it started to level off. People, the organizations put more money in. And then we had the CARES Act that came about with the PPC, the Paycheck Protection Program. And we had clients that wanted to apply that needed some help. And so we have another website, Grant Writer Team. Grant writers were able to help with that. Other times we told them, it was complicated, contact your CPA. And we're hoping that that's going to come back again at some point for the businesses because they're being shut down in many different neighborhoods. And they really they're not getting money to stay closed at this point. And that's really terrible because they need to feed their families. So, we don't know what's hindsight is 2020, which is funny because that's the year. And we don't know what are we going to know in 2021 about whether closing the stores was the right thing to do or not. We don't know.
Well, I know that the right thing to do is definitely go on your website, grantwatch.com. So, for someone who doesn't know too much about grants and how to apply for grants, there is a profession that is called grant writer, who basically do all that thing for you. So can you tell us why someone should consider hiring a grant writer?
Well, it takes a lot of years to learn and hone the art of grant writing. No question about it. It's a good thing to try to write your first grant by yourself because you can actually save money on a grant writer that way. So I don't want to take you right into the place of hiring the grant writer unless that grant application is very important to your organization. If it is, go straight to hire a grant writer on grant writing team. But if it's not, if it's maybe we could use that money, that sounds like what we do kind of thing, then try to gather all the information that's in the application and get yourself ready and try to write it. Then when you do hire a grant writer for the one that's really important, you'll have a lot of documents already at your fingertips because you need to have that document folder of everything you need about your organization. It should be in hard copy and it should be online as well, so you can easily access it. Now, the thing is that a grant writer has an idea of what kind of grants would be most applicable to your organization after you have that, initial intake conversation. And even if you hire a grant writer, you need to review the grants for your eligibility, because maybe the grant writer can miss something that you know you can't do, or you're not eligible for. You might see something by checking that yourself. And the grant writer can really guide you in when you're starting to talk about your organizational capacity, what you can do. They can try to extract all the information from you and put it down on paper. And those conversations you have with the grant writer are really important, because you have to have a grant writer that can take your passion and put it on paper. If you're having a conversation and they're not really getting it, that's not the grant writer for you, because those words have to jump off the page.
Well, that's indeed very important to hire a grant writer. And guess what? We can do that right from your website, grantwatch.com. There is a page, grant writers, grant news, grant training, and also Grant Watch nonprofit. So this is actually the time for all the individual, including artists, including nonprofits who are looking for grants. Is not just also for the U.S., it's also international. So it's very, very, very important. So what are the top 5 reasons why a nonprofit or a small business should apply for grants? Of course, we know that they always need money, but why they should apply for grants?
Well, a grant is not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. So that's the first reason. So this infuses new revenue into your agency.
Now you're talking. Now
okay.
you're talking.
And it has the capacity, it will expand your organization's ability to serve more people. Whatever you're doing, you now will increase in size. And you can take your ideas to the next level. If you have a dream, you can make it a sustainable reality for your organization.
You know, when I think about it, my ex-wife, she's been receiving grants from me every month, you know. She has, and she's been expanding, I promise you that, you know. Her wardrobe has been expanding ever since, you know. So, and you know, one thing that people also, I think, should know is that on your website, grantwatch.com, you have a lot of prestigious grants. And just, you know, when you receive a grant from such a prestigious organization or a grant donor, I would say, it has a big value on your resume. You know, it's of course the money, you know, whether you receive $1,000.
It helps you get the next grant.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
because
that
you can,
like that also?
Right, because a funding agency wants to know, can you manage grant funds appropriately? So when you say that you got X number of dollars and you used it to do such and such a program and it was successful, they want to they really, that puts you up a level in their mind. So that's really good.
Wow. And so what are you would say your 5 top secrets? I'm sure you have a lot, but let's just hear 5 top secrets of securing grants for non-profits.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I want to go back a second.
My accountant told me, are you a for-profit or non-profit? I said, technically I'm for-profit, but I've never had any profit. So, you know, I'm in between. You know?
Well, let me just take you back a second before I answer this question. Grantwatch.com is the website where you'll locate the grants. GrantWriterTeam.com is the website where you'll request a grant writer. And there are links from back and forth from both websites, so you won't get lost. All right? Now, my 5 secrets, I have more than that, so I'll try to give you the top 5.
I'm going to negotiate. Let's settle it to 6. Okay.
6. Check your eligibility. That's the most important, because if you apply for a grant you're not eligible for, you wasted a lot of time, a lot of money. And writing a grant sometimes takes over your whole agency because you need so many different documents for the first grant that when you get to the second, it's much easier. Follow directions. Pay attention to the details and the fine print. Read the guidelines, requirements carefully, many times over. I had somebody that asked me to help them write a grant as a friend. As a friend. And okay, we can go into business together and we can do this together. And so I didn't charge her anything. And it was right before the Passover holiday and my family was going away. And so
can I be your friend, Libby? Can I?
I'll never do it again. I left her.
I will be the greatest friend you can hope,
I left her with a beautiful document. And I left her with the instructions, which she failed to follow, that said what font the grant had to be in, what size font the grant had to be in, what the margin sizes were. And she didn't do it. And this 100-page document went in the garbage. We sent it. The letter back was, sorry, you didn't follow the guideline. Nobody read it.
Wow. Yeah, indeed, these days we don't read, we just look, we go in diagonal, so it's important indeed that everyone reads. And your website, I swear, it's a very good literature. It's very easy to read it, if that makes sense.
It is, because we take out grant language and turn it into English.
Oh my God! I love how you talk. I think you should have your own radio show. Now I'm afraid that people will hear that radio show because they're gonna be like, look, David talks obviously as a host, and we should have Libby instead. No, but it's true. You have the right. You have really the right language. And one thing that I like is that you have a grant specialist. You can click grant specialist, ask your question. I love your website. You know what?
Thank you. We have chat, phone, and email. So we're always available. I mean, I can't say always. In the middle of the night, nobody's answering you, but constant customer service. And my own children have told me, Ma, you have to slow down, take out the phone call customer service. No websites do it anymore. But we get phone calls. They just want to know if we're real before they're going to subscribe.
Yeah. Well,
they want to hear a voice.
Well, let me tell you, you guys are real, and you've been there for many, many years. You've been
2010.
doing that. Oh my God, I was not even born. Can you believe that? And that's the year I learned how to read.
Oh right, okay.
But. Grantwatch.com, we have the lovely founder. I love your name. You know what? I love your name. Your name inspires, I would say, kindness. Libby. Isn't that a beautiful name, guys? Libby Hikind. She is the founder of this important website, Grantwatch.com. So I think we covered a lot.
Well, we only did two.
we covered a lot. I'm extremely, extremely happy. Our audience will be delighted. Before we start to say goodbye to each other, because I'm Jewish and Jews, the time we say goodbye is usually longer than the conversation itself. You know what I mean? So,
oh yes, I know.
so I would love to know now how do you see the how would you pick the right grant for you? How do you know? Can a grant writer help you to find which grant I should apply? Or is there a person where you say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I have, this is what I have done. Where do you think I should direct myself in this jungle of grants? Do you have that service as well?
Well, that would be a grant writer that could do the research for you. But you really should start on GrantWatch, because when you request a grant writer, you can for grants, the URLs from for the grants you found, and the grant writer, when they bid on your request, they will give you a flat rate. So as opposed to an hourly rate, you'll get a better understanding of how much the grant will cost you to have written. Because you never want to give somebody an open pocketbook. or an open textbook, right? You don't want to say, okay, write this grant to me at X number of dollars per hour, and then whatever it is. That's not the way you want to work. So by finding some grants, even if you don't end up applying for those, you'll get a better idea of what the grant writer would charge you. And then you can choose, but never choose a grant writer based on price, because if a grant writer responds to like a Head Start grant, which that's a 100-page grant, and they say they're going to do it for $1,000 or $500, they don't even know what the Head Start grant is, because they couldn't possibly do it. It's at least, it's quite a lengthy application. Whereas if it's a one-page online application and you're really afraid to do it yourself, and they ask $500 for it, that's good, because they have to get to know you enough to answer the question. So you have to think about the grant application, look at it yourself, think how long it should take a grant writer if they know what they're doing, and then look at the pricing.
And I'm sure some of these grant writers, they've been through it themselves before for prior applicants, so they know a little bit all the tricks, and they know what to write, and they learn from, I should say, what happened before. So it's definitely the best consultant that you can find. But it starts with Grantwatch.com.
If, let's say, you're looking for a grant, and the grant is not available yet. It was available last year. You believe it's come, based on what we have, it looks like it repeats every year or something like that. Or the funding's not quite there yet for you. You can go to our other website, uhelp.com, and put up a crowdfunding campaign. And we're just starting now crowdfunding with a coach. So you can use our platform and be coached through the whole process.
Wow. Is there anything that you don't do, my dear? Because it's really wonderful. It's really great, all these. I had the pleasure today on the Culture News on iHeartRadio to interview this very talented lady over the phone, Libby Hikind. She's the founder of this important website, which everyone should definitely go to visit. It's Grantwatch.com, and it's basically grants where you can find, where you can apply for nonprofits, individuals, small businesses, etc. And also, if you're a grant and you want to find new applicants, this is definitely the place to go. Grantwatch.com. The holidays are coming. It's a great day today in New York City, and more music is coming. Stay tuned.